Iron, and I'm here to ask you a question. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? No, says the man in Washington, it belongs to the poor. No, says the man in the Vatican, it belongs to God. No, says the man in Moscow, it belongs to everyone. I rejected those answers. Instead, I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose rapture. City where the artist would not fear the censor, where the scientist would not be bound by petty morality, where the great would not be constrained by the small. And with the sweat of your brow, rapture can become your city as well.
The White House is all lit up like hellfire. Looks like some kind of plane crash.
We're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. How could it?
I don't know. You best get over there. And be quick about it. The splicers are coming.
You gotta be kidding. How do you know someone's been coming?
Because we gotta find the steering way down. That means we've got company.
Hey guys, ResEvil239 here. I'm doing my first ever Let's Play and first major YouTube video project on Bioshock here, the original of course. This is not the first time I've played Bioshock, this is probably the third or fourth time, but this is the first time I've played it on PC. As I'll talk about my impressions of this was actually the first game that I played on PC, although that was couple months ago that I started this, and I just now got around to actually editing it and putting it together. As you can tell, I'm a good ways into this opening area now. I didn't start at the beginning, and that's because originally I didn't record. I just started playing, and then I decided kind of midway through that I wanted to do a Let's Play of it. And I tried to go back and record it, and actually ran into a couple issues. When I tried to start it up again for when I tried to start the game itself up again for the first time in a while, it was giving me all these issues when I tried to change the resolution, and then I got that sorted out. And then when you play Bioshock on Windows 7, it acts all funky. It does not like for you to Windows key out to the desktop. If you ever do that, it almost always crashes. So I started to re-record the beginning, or I should say redo the beginning and record it. And the first couple minutes I forgot to record it, and then, I was doing my commentary, and I hit mute on the mic for a video segment, or a cinematic segment, and then totally forgot to unmute it. And this is kind of my first time, as I said, doing a major YouTube video, so I'm kind of, not really not experienced, so I forget some of these little minor things, and I just didn't want to deal with having to restart it, so I figured, forget it. Most of you have probably played this already, I'm sure. If not, you really owe it to yourself to pick it up. This is a great game, probably one of the best of this console generation.
Trying to override the exit from here.
So tell me, friend, which one of the bitches sent to you? The KGB wolf or the CIA jackal? Here's the news. Rapture isn't some sunken ship for you to plunder. And Andrew Ryan isn't a giddy socialite who can be slapped around by government muscle. And with that, farewell, or das Jerry.
access.
Dr. Steinman said he'd release me today. Ryan didn't come to see me since the New Year's attack, not once. But Dr. Steinman was very attentive. He told me that once the scar tissue was gone, he was gonna fix me right up, make me prettier than any girl I've ever seen. He's sweet, all right. And so interested in my case.
You know, so I left that intro in just because I just think that's a great segment. It's one of my favorite segments, especially in this game, but in any game in general. You know, just seeing Rapture from the inside of that bathysphere. You know, even the redone version of Rapture, looking out through the windows in the DLC for Infinite, it just doesn't compare. Just this whole intro scene is amazing.
So this little segment here is done in post. You know, you'll see I kind of fucked around with settings here a bit. Original default movement speed is really, you know, for the cursor is really freaking slow here. So we're gonna fast forward a bit here because, like I said, a lot of it's just me screwing with settings, kind of checking it out. This is the first time I played on PC too, so just kind of, you know, surprised, not really by the graphics. It didn't really change much from the 360 version I originally played, but you know, just how smooth everything moved. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It feels so much more fluid. You know, my experiences with PC gaming are pretty limited. I had you know, a little bit where I just kind of, you know, I played games, mostly just the only thing I fully played was Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth. Really great game. If you hadn't checked it out before, I highly recommend it. You know, anyone who likes Cthulhu mythos, it's fucking incredible. You know, but that was on a shitty laptop that I actually still have that's fallen apart and wasn't meant for games. I think it actually crashed on me once because of overheating. You know, it was a great game, but, you know, like I said, that's my only real PC gaming experience. I played a little bit of Warcraft 3, some League of Legends, Diablo, Divine Divinity, which is a really, really good Diablo clone. Also really, really worth checking out. And that's pretty much before this game. It was pretty much my only PC gaming experience. So, first time seeing how games run on PC. And my only experience before was a lot of lag or games where, you know, there wasn't even anything to lag.
So you might have noticed the commentary thus far has been a little jumbled. There's parts where I reference things that happened earlier in the video. That's because some of this I recorded some time ago, and then when I actually sat down and edited it, I realized it didn't work, and you know, I didn't really want to re-record all this audio, and you know, I don't script this or anything, so it would just be a mess. So I figured I'd just kind of leave it in there. But, you know, now I'll be recording while we're doing the videos, so there won't be any more talking over audio diaries and such.
You keep an eye peeled for Steinman. The daft bastard set up shop in the surgery wing. You want to find him? Just follow the blood.
Adam presents new problems for the professional. As your tools improve, so do your standards. There was a time I was happy enough to take off a ward or two, or turn a real circus freak into something you can show in the daylight, but that was then. When we
Remember, all them machines will short out right and proper if you hit them with electrovolt.
One major thing I'd like to do with this commentary here is kind of compare things to Infinite. You know, I thought Infinite was really good, especially the story. The gameplay was a little lacking in some areas. I thought the gunplay was kind of fun. I really enjoyed jumping around on the skylines and jumping off and, you know, blasting people with shotguns and all that. But at the same time, you know, it's still supposed to be a Bioshock game. So, you know, I just think it'd be interesting to compare them. And the biggest thing I notice right off the bat is how many different, you know, I guess you could say features that Bioshock has. That I think even Bioshock 2 kept most, if not all of them, and actually made a lot of gameplay improvements over this one. Whereas Infinite, I don't know if it's because it's been so long or what, but they just kind of reset it. They totally changed everything, of course, but they just totally left out a lot of features. Just in terms of progression, character progression. I mean, for a shooter, that's usually not a big focus, but still, this game's it's equally an RPG and a shooter. In fact, I think it's one of the better shooter RPGs out there because some of the the mechanics mesh really well. You get a lot of games like Borderlands where there's RPG mechanics, but it just feels kind of shallow. This just felt like it had a lot more depth. I mean, you can upgrade your guns through those machines you find. Infinite had that, but Infinite, I always felt like I needed upgrades. This one was always Bioshock. I always felt like it was a boost. It helped. It was fun to do.
I was a German prison camp. 16 years old when I realized I have love for science. German doctor, he make experiment. Sometimes he makes scientific error. I tell him of this error, and this make him angry. But then he asks, how can a child know such a thing? I tell him sometimes I just know.
Oh, yes, right!
Then why tell me? Well, I say if you are going to do such things, at least you should do them properly.
Infinite, I always constantly felt like I needed to upgrade, like I was, I mean, granted I played on hard, but even this on hard, I never feel like I have to upgrade. Infinite, I always constantly felt like it was a struggle. I always had to have an upgrade, and I always felt like I never had enough upgrades. And then, I never liked when, you finish the game and even though you searched everywhere and tried to get everything, you're still missing almost all of the upgrades. That's never fun. And Infinite was like that.
When Picasso became bored of painting people, he started representing them as cubes and other abstract forms. The world called him a genius. I've spent my entire surgical career creating the same tired shapes over and...
Security cameras. I can hear the infernal things all around you. Ryan's eyes and ears.
So, when I finished Infinite, I still had tons and tons of upgrades that I hadn't had, or hadn't been able to buy yet. I don't know. When I finish a game like this that has, some minor RPG mechanics, or even a regular full-on RPG, I like to feel like at the end of the game, my character is a lot more powerful than he was when he started, and I like to have, even if it's not the type of game where you can get all the upgrades, at least be close, have a lot. At the end of Infinite, I felt like I had hardly anything. There was just a whole long list of upgrades that I didn't have yet. And, in some games that's fine, but when I spent the whole game feeling like I needed more, I mean, even the end was just, chaos, struggling, having to switch weapons, use guns I don't like, and there's a big difference between balancing things so that it's a challenge, and just making gameplay a pain in the ass. And I feel like that's largely what Infinite did, especially since, you're only allowed to carry 2 weapons.
We were approved on the ship that without sent a fly to spoil our home. 1,000 atoms, a man or woman who pins its
All roads in Rapture lead to Ryan. Security, the splicers, the big daddies, the little sisters. He pumps some kind of chemical scent in the air. Pheromones, they call it. Makes them all dance to his tune.
Which is fine, makes sense, and there's not too much ammo. Normally that wouldn't be too big a problem, But when you're only limited to 2 guns and you're constantly thrown into arena after arena, it was just, you know, it wasn't a challenge. It was just a pain in the ass, plain and simple. So I think this is a good place that I need to stop the video here today. You know, I'd appreciate some constructive criticism, especially this being my first real YouTube video that I'm putting together here. Should I talk less? Would you like to just see me just play the game? Are there any specific subjects you'd like me to focus on? Certain aspects of Infinite and Bioshock in particular? And as usual, you know, rate, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.